Welcome to the Hickory Hound, offering economic, cultural, and political insight. We aim to be a voice for the forgotten, rooted in the Foothills Corridor, serving Hickory and Western North Carolina. Today, we are skipping past the surface-level amenity theater, the shiny ribbon cuttings, the ceremonial shovels, and the downtown festivals. Instead, we are running a clinical, structural autopsy on a transitioning mid-tier city, Hickory, North Carolina. If you want to know how a city actually operates, you have to look under the hood at the data. This is a voice for the forgotten, rooted directly in the reality of the Foothills Corridor. Let's look at the mechanics. This video presents the Hickory Hound Civic Intelligence graphic. It visualizes Hickory's socio-economic machinery, showing the shift from a furniture-centric past to a technology and logistics-driven future. We identify 4 key components in this trajectory toward 2050. To visualize the socio-economic machinery of Hickory, we have to map out a shifting engine. The region is attempting to transition from a legacy furniture-centric past toward a technology and logistics-driven future. This matrix outlines the exact economic drivers, household stressors, and civic structures we will be auditing today. It gives us the framework to trace systemic friction straight from the macroeconomy down to the individual household ledger. This video details the civic intelligence graphic, serving as a structural mechanics compendium for 2025. It provides a working language to understand the machinery of Hickory and the Foothills Corridor. The goal of this breakdown isn't just to list statistics, but to build a precise, unvarnished, working language for reading this region. When we use soft language, we get soft solutions. To engineer real structural solutions, we have to start with a diagnostic toolkit that calls things exactly what they are. Let's look at our first major structural hurdle, amenity theater. This is the false institutional narrative that a new public park, a walking trail, or a downtown festival is definitive proof of a thriving, healthy city. It creates a temporary stage and an illusion of growth. But the public story routinely lags behind lived reality. A shiny facade does not fix underground structural decay, and a furniture-to-data center narrative means nothing if it isn't delivering a living wage to the majority of our neighbors. To fix a machine, you must first name its broken parts. The terms we are introducing across these modules are not casual vocabulary. They are rigorous diagnostic tools. We are breaking this investigation into 3 distinct sections. Module 1 will cover the economic engine, Module 2 balances the household pressure, and Module 3 uncovers the hidden gears of the civic machinery. Let's start with Module 1, the economic engine. We need to look at how wealth is generated, who it relies on, and why the current industrial design sets a hard boundary on how much money a local worker can actually take home. Look at the demographic flow. The public narrative celebrates rapid population growth, but our natural local birth replacement rate is actually in decline. Because local reproduction is down, our expansion is completely dependent on a net migration engine. This means all significant regional growth is driven entirely by attracting outsiders, remote workers, and out-of-state retirees to move in and stabilize our tax base. At the same time, our economy remains production-heavy. Manufacturing physical goods offers high industrial stability, but it structurally limits the evolution of high-wage, white-collar knowledge roles. This production-heavy model locks down a severe structural barrier known as the wage ceiling. Because our local economy is heavily dominated by lower-paying production and service sector roles, there is a hard canopy on earnings potential. As a result, the average hourly wage in Hickory stands at approximately $25 an hour. Even as new data centers and logistics hubs move into the corridor, this structural lid keeps local earnings lagging far behind the national market standard. This brings us directly to Module 2, the household pressure. In this section, we track exactly how the structural limits of our economic engine collide with the reality of a family's monthly budget, pushing households deeper into the financial danger zone. This economic squeeze exposes the affordability illusion. Compared to major metropolitan metros, housing here looks cheap on paper. But that low cost of living is completely neutralized by structural wage stagnation. Put simply, things look cheap until you try to pay for them with a local paycheck. This sets up our living wage reality. There is a massive mathematical gap between our current $25 average wage and the actual $35 plus hourly rate required to stably support a family of 4 in today's economy. To escape this pressure, many residents turn to education and training, but our workforce development pipeline has a massive cracked pipe. This is credential leakage. The data reveals that while student enrollment numbers are high, our local system largely fails to convert that enrollment into completed, industry-relevant degrees or stable local placement. People are starting educational programs but dropping out due to immediate income needs, or graduating and realizing they can't find work here that matches their training. Look at this blueprint layout. It illustrates severed walkways and dead-end pipelines running through our workforce strategy. This human capital drain is a direct result of economic misalignment. Only 31% of local students actually successfully secure a post-secondary credential after enrolling. That means over 68% of our talent and workforce funding is evaporating into a dead end before it can ever upgrade our local economy. Now we have to look at the civic machinery. Power in a mid-tier city is often structural and largely invisible to the average voter. It operates through appointed authority, unelected boards selected by politicians to oversee planning, public health, and education. This system creates an insulation buffer that reduces direct voter accountability for critical zoning and health decisions. Consequently, our public institutions harden into civic silos. They do exceptional work entirely on their own, but they operate completely isolated from a unified regional economic or social strategy. To break down those silos and fix severe structural household pressure, equity requires precision. We cannot fix deep, isolated disparities with generalized, citywide initiatives. The data demands geo-targeted deployment. This means explicitly concentrating limited municipal resources, like community health workers, infrastructure capital, or targeted public safety programs, strictly into specific, high-risk zip codes and census tracts where the data shows the pressure is highest, rather than spreading our resources uselessly thin across the map. This brings us to our final transition. How do we stop simply observing these structural faults and actually move toward transitioning the machine into a functional, resilient model for the future? The data demands a civic playbook. This is a coordinated, regional, outcome-driven strategy designed specifically to replace fragmented, piecemeal political proposals and superficial amenity theater. Think of it as interlocking gears. We must deliberately plug our credential leakage with targeted, localized education to systematically overcome the wage ceiling. And we must shatter our civic silos through geo-targeted deployment to connect the economy, the civic machinery, and household pressure into a single, functional system. In my own time, I look at this data not as an academic exercise, but as a toolkit. The terms we have pulled from this compendium are functional diagnostics. The next time you hear a politician or a public relations announcement claim record low unemployment or economic prosperity, I want you to use the concepts of the wage ceiling and the affordability illusion to read the true reality of your neighborhood. This is how we build a real working language for hard reality. This is how we move from being passive observers of our local decline to active architects of our regional rebuilding. This is the baseline truth of the machine. Thank you for tuning in to this structural breakdown by the Hickory Hound. Keep tracking the numbers, stay focused on evidence over institutional narratives, and ask yourself, who is really operating the gears of your city? Thank you for watching the Hickory Hound. Subscribe and send feedback to the provided links. Let's keep pushing the signal forward.